Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Yeah. Is that on the agenda?
No, it is not.
Okay, so with board's permission, I would do that first, okay?
Yes.
So items not appearing on the agenda, members of the public may address the board on any matter of the board jurisdiction that is not on the agenda, but on the posted agenda. No action may be taken on any matter that is not posted on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to address the OPUD board at the time are requested to use, we have anybody online, raise hand feature to state your name, residence of your record, and beginning with your address to the board. Comments should be limited again to 3 minutes. Moving on to consent, do you have a motion for consent?
Hold on, let's go ahead and public comment first.
Do that first, okay.
All right. My name is Alan Murray. I'm the president of the Olivehurst Farmers Association. I just wanted to come in and basically invite OPUD to have an entry in this year's Olivehurst Christmas Parade. I've already forwarded over the entry forms over to the general manager so he can distribute it out. With all the help that the board has allowed OPUD to help us with the trailers and everything else, we're waiving the fees this year for OPUD and any other time that while we're doing the parade, we would like you guys to be involved in this community event. We feel that it'd be a great opportunity for a positive public perception for the district, along with the fire department being involved.
Okay.
One of the other things that I also would like to ask is if the board would like to be our judges for this year's parade. I know that you guys can't make any decisions on it or anything, but I just wanted to put that invite out there. We've been looking around for some people, and I felt that it'd be really good to have you guys out there as our judges.
Okay, very good. Joan, can we talk about this lightly at all?
You can give feedback so long as you don't, you can give casual feedback so long as you're not having a protracted discussion about an item not on the agenda.
Would it help if I wear my hat? Would that make it more casual?
Oh, and I can do a consensus.
I mean, you could say, for example, we are interested, we'd like to consider this more formally at a committee meeting or a future date. So you can let them know if you're interested or not,
Sure. But Joan, my concern is this meeting's now, we're not going to have another meeting. The 14th is coming up really quick. So I'd like to be able to casually say that just me and one person is the board chair tonight. I'd like us to maybe look at doing a consensus vote by email. Can we do that?
Sure, you can respond to the board clerk so long as you do it individually without copying one another. And then the board clerk can convey to the board chair the outcome to be communicated to the public. The other option is we could add this as an agenda item, but it doesn't sound as, because we weren't previously aware of it. We didn't learn of it in time to be agendized. So the board by 3 out of 4 vote can make a motion and add this item to the agenda for a full discussion this evening, should you so choose.
Okay, I'd like to choose that.
I'll move to add it.
I'll go ahead and second that motion to add it to the agenda.
I have a first and second.
If you'll give me a moment, I just want to read out the required findings so that we make sure that we have a clear record. And so give me just a moment.
No problem. Thank you, John, for your help, Grace. You can say
Are we able to move on and maybe come back to that one? Yeah, let's go through the consent. That should take about a second.
We'll move on, Joan, as you're looking that up, and then we'll come back to that. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so looking at consent, looking for a motion for consent.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second them.
Have a first and second, please call roll.
Director Burbank.
Yes.
Director Grego.
Yes.
Director Nelson. Yes. Director Flo.
Yes,
Motion carries, all approving, one absent.
all right.
Okay, so I'm ready to call out these findings if you'd like.
Okay, please call out the findings.
Okay, so there are two conditions that must be made and met in order for this exception to apply. There's a need to take immediate action on the matter as opposed to waiting until the next regular scheduled meeting. And the need for immediate action came to the attention of the board subsequent to the agenda being posted. And so if the board by motion can make these findings by a majority, then we can add this onto the agenda and discuss and act on it just as if it were on the agenda.
Okay,
So the first agrees to that? To the findings? Yes. Okay, and the
Yeah.
second does too.
do we have first and second agree? I agree. Lacey,
Absolutely.
we're all in agreement.
Okay, and so with the four of you agreeing, the board chair may now identify where this item will be placed on the agenda.
Well, we'll place it right now, right at the very beginning.
Under district business,
Yes, district business,
it is 6.1.
yes, make that 6.1 and move the rest down. Okay. So I am for both of these requests myself. I feel like the board feels the same way. Is there any issue to that, John, at all on your end?
I have a question. Alan, did you want all of us to be judges? Or just a portion of us? Because I know it's different every year.
We try to have 5, but I believe last year we ended up with only
We had
3.
Yeah, there were
I
only
think,
3 of us.
Director Burbank was able to, and then my wife, and I think Mike Schaefer's wife ended up doing it.
Okay.
Only done last minute because other people.
So you're looking for all of us to be on there?
Preferably, but
Okay.
as many as I can.
I just didn't know if you had a limit. And then
No.
when you asked us to participate, did you want us to be like on a float or
So for
participate in that level?
the directors, it'd be for the judges, and then for OPUD as a whole, doing either float or having some of the equipment in the parade.
Yeah. Sounds like a general manager wants to respond to that.
Yes, I suggested maybe the backcon truck.
Yeah.
And maybe another water asset,
And so our
because I
new,
knew y'all want to do this.
well, of course, I'll hold the hose.
You might know us close.
I'm on the sewer committee. I mean, I should be entitled to do that.
All right. Sounds like it's a plan.
I'm- To the chair, I am not available that day. I think everybody probably knows what I'm doing. Our big giveaway is that day. I will be at the fairgrounds.
That's right.
Is that same up?
It's that morning.
No, so you can.
So you, but this is the
sorry.
evening. So you can, that's what I mean.
It is the evening, but I don't know what time we get done and get cleaned up, so.
What time is the parade?
The parade starts at 5 o'clock.
And what time's the So You Can giveaway start?
7 a.m.
You'll be done. Just
What
tell
time do you need
just
us
tell
to?
them to be done.
I do that every year where I get to.
We'll get you a time.
Okay,
No, no,
then
so
I'm committed.
but,
Yeah, and you come in too.
FYI, just so you know, I was asked to be the grand marshal for the Marysville Christmas parade too.
So this
It's
year,
popular.
we actually asked that Carl Cosen's mom
Oh, and they
be
do.
our grand marshal this year, since she's one of the few of our original fire chiefs, widows that are still alive.
Yeah, yeah,
It
definitely.
was actually an idea that the fire chief had, that I was
That's a good choice.
all
Yeah.
on board for. So
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
great choice. Do you need me to send you over scoring sheets, all that kind of stuff? Did
If
you-
I remember, I think I still have the spreadsheets from last year that we used last year, and I'll just
Okay.
make some more copies of those.
Okay, let me know if there's anything that you need me to send over. Make it easier, because that week I'm gonna be up to my
Yeah,
eyeballs.
if I remember, I still have a bunch of the points still left over that, but if not, I'll reach out to you.
Okay, perfect. I will try. I'm not gonna guarantee anything, because I don't know how much time I'll be out of there and cleaned up, but I'll try to come, hang out with trouble over here.
Trouble needs trouble.
Well,
Yeah,
they-
we just wanted to basically be one of those things that, you know, it's 55th anniversary. And the thought was to have as much of OPUD involved, so the community can see everybody out there and see what their tax dollars are going towards, and actually be able to appreciate what everybody within OPUD does for the community.
And that also includes our general manager to attend and participate, correct?
He was in it last year. He was in it last year.
Dress up
On
as
the
an elf
front
or
side.
something. Big hair style. You get the visual?
I do.
All right.
He's tuning me out.
I mean, it was a big surprise last year, how many people actually showed up compared to what the last few years, by just the association taking it over and moving it to being a night parade. We got more people that weren't able to enter in before, like the Oliver's drugstore wasn't able to enter because of them being open during the parade. So we gained stuff like that, but we also gained a lot more community members, both that live within OPUS jurisdiction and people from outside.
What about lighting, Alan? I mean,
So for lighting, what we've been doing for last year was I got a bunch of light towers donated by United Rentals.
Yeah.
And we placed those at a few of the intersections, 8th, 7th, one back behind the judge stand there in front of Mel's
okay,
School,
great,
6th, and then down up there.
awesome.
So we have the additional lighting, and then this year we got in contact with the sheriff's office early,
Mhm.
so that they're already getting their staffing levels even higher than what it was last year,
Very good,
because they realized that we had a bigger turnout than what we've ever had.
fantastic.
Well, thank you for bringing it to our attention. We're glad you were here, and we will participate. Sounds good.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you letting us know. All right, thank you. Moving on to public hearing for annexation for territory into CFD 2005-2 for parks and maintenance.
So we'll need to open the public hearing.
So we're opening the public hearing. Do we have any public comment concerning this?
We have confirmation of the notice required, so it was published within the Appeal Democrat,
Okay,
and no written protests or anything along those lines.
okay. All right, any comments from directors? Hearing none, so
They to close the public hearing.
we shall now close the public hearing.
If you're ready for a motion, I'll go ahead and,
She's wanted us all, she's got to adjourn.
Okay, so you said make the motion?
yeah, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion, recommended action, please.
For 6.17?
Yes. A second.
The first, second, please call roll.
Director Burbank?
Yes.
Director Grego?
Yes.
Director Nelson?
Yes.
Director Flo?
Yes,
Motion carries, all approving and one absent.
okay. Brianna, we're ready to move on to the resolutions.
That was resolution.
That was it? That
Yeah,
was the first one?
yes.
Do I have to read?
Yes.
Okay. So we did do,
You did 6.1.7, now you need to move on to 6.1.8.
thank you. Consider approving OPUD resolution 244-6, resolution declaring election results for voting annexation territory into OPUD CFD 2005-2 for parks maintenance.
I'll move to approve. I'll move to second.
I have a first and second. Please call roll.
First and second, we have all 9 votes, then the votes are yes. Director Burbank?
Yes.
Director Grego?
Yes.
Director Nelson?
Yes.
Director Flo?
Yes.
Motion carries, all approving with one absent.
May I make a point of order through the chair?
Sure.
I note that the resolution contains an Exhibit A, Statement of Election Results. But the Exhibit A is not filled out, and so it's not clear in the resolution that the board is approving what the vote of the landowners was.
That has to be filled out once I open the envelope during the middle of the meeting.
And so you're
that's
supposed to
announce it.
actually, yeah, you're supposed to actually open that envelope before we approve the resolution, because we don't know until you open the envelope what the votes were and whether a majority of the landowners approved or declined the proposed action.
Gotcha. So the one was, going back then to 6.8.
Yeah, I apologize. I was not quick enough on the draw here, so.
Sorry. I'm moving a little quick here, I'm sorry
To
about
the
that.
chair,
Yeah.
I believe the clerk read the votes before we voted.
Mhm.
Does that, I don't know. if
The
Joe-
motion was made, then she read the votes, and then the
We
vote
voted.
was taken.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think we're okay.
okay. So we'll move on to the next one.
Yes.
Consider waiving the first and second reading of the adoption of OPUD ordinance, number, 219, levying taxes on territory OPUD and CFD 2005-2 for parks maintenance.
I'll move to approve.
I'll move to second.
Mr. Chair, again, may I make a brief comment? So while special districts are not subject to the same constraints as other municipalities, it is a best practice that you have a first reading at one meeting and a second meeting at a second reading at a subsequent meeting. And I know Director Griego is aware of that process for the county. And so I would like to recommend moving forward that for matters such as this, you conduct your first reading on the evening and you conduct a second reading on consent at the following meeting's agenda. And I'm not asking that you change this evening, but I wanted to, after meeting with the general manager yesterday, I just wanted to point out this as a procedural best practice and make that recommendation moving forward.
Okay, thank you, John. So I need first and second, but we'll do the board on.
Director Burbank?
Yes.
Director Grego?
Yes.
Director Nelson?
Yes.
Director Flo?
Yes.
Motion carries, all approving, one absence.
Okay, so consider approving the ELA agreement for South County project.
Okay, so this is a, agreement, it would be an agreement between,
The Mid-Valley Building and Construction Trades, the Trades
Right.
Council and OPUD.
we're not really actually part of the agreement, OPUD is not, however, we do want to, be able to, have a say in what's in the agreement, so that we don't overburden the project or anything like that, so.
Well, General Manager, OPUD is a party to this agreement. OPUD is signing this agreement, agreeing that it will apply the provisions in this agreement to this project, any construction contracts related to this project. OPUD will not be a party to the agreement to be bound, which is an exhibit to this agreement. So all of the
Got it.
construction contractors will need to enter into an agreement that they will abide by the provisions of this agreement. But this agreement is an agreement for OPUD to consider entering into with the Trades Council and any other unions who may elect to become signatory to this agreement. But this is actually an agreement where OPUD is promising that it will require that all construction contracts that it lets in connection with this project be let in accordance with the terms of this agreement. I did insert a proviso that if you get no bids on a construction contract, then you can discuss with the Trades Council how to re-let that contract and perhaps not have it be subject to the contract so that the project can proceed. But this is an agreement between the Trades Council and OPUD.
Got it. So that was a pretty good explanation. It covers the use of local labor, I believe. That's the big gist of it.
Okay.
Through talks with these two gentlemen here in the audience. Sorry, I don't have you. I don't remember your names. I remember the faces, but you'll be welcome to get up and speak if you have anything to say after I get through here. But anyway, through meetings with them and staff, and then we had kind of an ad hoc committee for that. We went through some of our concerns, and we had OPUD legal counsel make some minor changes to the agreement so that, they would take care of our concerns, and we believe that it's ready for a board approval.
Okay. You gentlemen have anything to add to this?
Through the chair, I would encourage you, for my board members that didn't get to sit around that table to maybe talk about this contract and how we work together in partnership. Matt, if you want to take point on that, and if you'll step up to the podium and identify yourself. And basically, nothing has changed. I mean, there's been some revisions here, but nothing has really changed from the concept that we had. And we've talked about this issue, over the past couple of years. And there's been a level of comfort, with this board, but today we're taking action. And so I want them to make sure that they are fully understand the partnership that we're entering into.
Sure.
Closer
I'm
so we can get to.
Secretary Treasurer of the Mid-Valley Building Tradesmen, Matt Goody. This is Carl Pino. Carl Pino is the president. So this agreement, as John alluded to, is going to prioritize local hire and local skills training, right? We're talking about building the skills of, not only our existing workforce, but the young people coming into the workforce. So these agreements are very good for efficiency, for not having work stoppages, and just overall getting a quality finished project for the public, which, obviously if you're utilizing public funds, you want the best product possible for the cheapest price, right? That's where we're at. And so there's been multiple studies that these agreements, prevent work stoppages. Their efficiency is higher on these projects. The work quality is always better. So I'm very happy that the board is considering this project. And just to clarify what your legal team said here, typically an agreement like between OPUD and the building trades would be a letter of intent to utilize the PLA. So we sent you the draft, you're modifying the draft. So when everything gets done with the actual final draft, the construction company signs on to the project labor agreement, not OPUD. Okay, so I just want to clarify that. Again, I'm not trying to say that anybody's wrong or right in this instance, but that is typically how it's done. You're not bound to the agreement. When I speak,
The contractors are bound.
the contractors are bound to the CWT.
But these are the terms that we agreed upon.
Correct.
They're agreeing to these terms, is
Yes.
basically what we're saying.
Correct.
Okay, and then I just want to point out that there was a priority for veterans in the trades,
Yes.
women who are head of households. That was another priority that we had talked about around this table. So I think that the discussion that we had as board here, that filtered into the discussion that we had around the table when this draft was presented and contemplated. So
Good.
is there anything else that you would add to that, John?
No,
Okay.
it's been covered pretty well.
Joan, do you have anything to add?
So I did not see the second provision that Director Griego. I did see helmets to hard hats. I did not see household provision.
Head of
So
household?
say again?
It's women as head of household, women who are the sole responsible for their family. I thought we had that in there.
Yeah, so I went through this, as you can see, very,
So here's the local hire.
yeah, the word household is not in this agreement.
That was there a way that we talked about that? I mean, that we put it in there?
Oh, it could, absolutely. I mean, it could
We could-
certainly
we
be
could
added. It
insert
could
that in
certainly
there.
still be added,
Okay.
absolutely.
Because that was kind of important. Women,
Yeah.
a lot of women are the head of households now
Absolutely.
and raising, their families. And so this was a priority for me.
And I can tell you as a whole, as a group,
Thank you.
the building trades have really prioritized, bringing women into the trades. It's a largely untapped labor market that would typically, historically, women haven't been in the construction field, but what we're finding out is that we need those women in the construction field. We need everybody in the construction field right now. There's a huge amount of labor, market that's in the construction field that's out there right now. So it's really great. It's really great to see.
Thank you. So we can go ahead and include that as part of
Yeah,
Yeah, through the chair,
you can
you
give
can-
direction to the general manager to work with legal counsel and the trades council to update the PLA to include a provision prioritizing head of household as participants.
Thank you.
Through the chair, we could approve it with that provision pending, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So looking for.
To the chair, Matt, thank you for doing this. We
Yeah,
know
Matt.
it keeps our dollars low. And that's the biggie, is keep all of this in our community. And thank you for bringing it forward and working with us.
Absolutely, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Carl, for being here tonight too.
Thank you, both of you.
I just want to kind of further explain to the process. There's 3 contracts. 2 of the contracts are from OPA for the construction. There's 1 contract that will be led by the city of Wheatland. Now that's, this agreement doesn't include Wheatland. They have to make their own, they have to take their own vote and motion in order to agree to this. But we're hoping that they follow suit. We're taking this first. And I think we're showing some leadership here. So I just wanted you all to know that there are 3 contracts. 2 of them are going to be led by this board
Okay.
and 1 by the city of Wheatland. When do we anticipate for this to go out to bid? I know that we were talking about like
May.
May.
It's on the schedule and as of earlier this week.
So we're looking at.
It's actually, it goes out to bid before that. We're actually supposed to accept
Set the
it
bids by May,
in May.
because I thought it was like right after the holidays where we're gonna look at going out for bid.
The Wheatland portion would be April. Our first contract would be May. Our second one would be June or July.
Okay, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I said I'd go out there with my own shovel if I had to and start digging.
Through the chair,
Video.
may I inquire, and John, I apologize, I don't know the answer to this, but will the Wheatland general contractor and the OPA general contractor potentially be on any construction site at the same time?
We think so, yes. And we think that they may be the same contractor. We're just not sure.
Okay,
We're trying to
so
work through those items.
the reason I ask is that obviously one of the, as described earlier by the Trades Council and by the general manager, one of the purposes of this PLA, or sorry, Community Workforce Agreement, is maintaining work site peace. And if there are workers on site who are not subject to the PLA and workers on site who are, it's more difficult for the unions to uphold their promises if they, if not everyone on site is subject to the same agreement. And so I would just make that point. I don't know where the discussions with Wheatland stand, but it will benefit the objectives of this community workforce agreement if the Trades Council is able to reach agreement with both Wheatland and OPUD, so that all contractors working on this project are subject to the same rules, including some of the safeguards that are included in the community workforce agreement.
Agreed.
Carl, I think I can speak for the Trades Council. We'll make the effort to reach out to Wheatland or.
Yeah, I think we were in America, Wheatland was here, going with the PLA too, so this is the first step to get OPED to take the lead on this, and approved, then give us a better chance for out of Wheatland to get them to follow suit as well. I'm sure, I don't see a reason why they wouldn't.
So it was the city manager, Bill, and I would make contact with him and just follow up, just
Bill Zanoni.
Zanoni, yeah. And I felt he was very agreeable when we were sitting at the table. And so hopefully, he's willing to bring this to his board and our committee first, and then bring it to the board for approval. Okay,
Looking for the motion then with those additional.
I'll go ahead and make
provisions.
the motion.
I'll second.
We have our first and second.
And I want to just make sure that we understand that we're going to add that verbiage in there as part of the motion. Thank you.
So I have considered approving the PLA agreement for the South County project, subject to revisions by legal counsel, adding head of household.
Thank you.
Director Burbank,
Yes.
Director Griego,
Yes.
Director Nelson.
Yes.
Director Flo,
Yes.
motion carries, all approving, one absent.
And if I might,
Thank you, gentlemen.
if I might, just add, if the board would allow me to, I think this is kind of a big deal, what we're doing here. I think, you know, and I'm gonna tell you from my perspective, being on boards for over 20 years now, is that how many times have I seen where we have all of this grant money come into our community, but yet no provisions were ever made to make sure that our citizens were able to be a part of that.
Yeah.
You know, that money stayed into our community.
Right.
I think this is kind of a big deal, because
Yeah.
we're like the first, we're at the tip of the sword on this. And I think it's really newsworthy that we put this in, you know, and make it available to other agencies, knowing what we're doing here. Not only we are providing infrastructure that is going to change the face of the South County, you know, because of what infrastructure does.
Right.
It, you know, creates communities and industries and economic development. Infrastructure is the most sexiest thing I know. I know, I'm crazy, but that's the way I feel about it. But I think it's newsworthy, and I think that if we could make sure that the newspaper knows about the action that this board has taken it in partnership with. Pardon?
It's exciting to be a part of community growth and development. That's what this is all about.
I actually start with 93Q on Saturday. I'm gonna mention it.
Oh, hey, we got an
It's
in.
exciting.
That is awesome.
Thank you for,
I'd be happy to be one of your guests.
okay. Thank you for all the work to everybody that's been putting in time for this one. Amazing.
Yeah, I think this is newsworthy, and I'm glad you know, I think it needs to be heard out there in the community, what this board is doing in regards to making changes in the South County, along with our partnerships with not only our community, but our labor community.
Yeah, and as a veteran, I appreciate the fact that we're wanting to train veterans and getting them connected in this way, because we do have a lot of veterans in our community. Very good. Let's move on to Public Works. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you,
again.
gentlemen.
All three of you. You betcha. All right, so Parks, consider approving lease agreement request for West Coast Cheer for the use of the youth center building.
So this is, last year we had, a cheer squad that leased the youth center building. They, broke up into two different entities. Well, one of the entities would like to rent out the youth center again. They are wanting to utilize it from, starting in December through May 31st. They would like to keep their mat on the floor. And then in the event that we have somebody else that needs to utilize the building, they'll pick their mats up and clean it up. They want to use it 3 days a week from 5:30 to 8:30. And they're aware of all PG&E and shared utility costs that will come into play. I don't have deposit. I don't have insurance or anything like that just yet. I do have their nonprofit status and letter. So other than those items that are forthcoming once approval's received, that's where we're standing.
So, Rand, did this go through the committee?
It did. It went through committees already and they have approved it.
Okay.
Very good. We just need a motion. I move to approve the West Coast Chair using our youth center building.
One second.
There's a second. Please call roll.
Director Burbank?
Yes.
Director Griego?
Yes.
Director Nelson?
Yes.
Director Flo?
Yes.
Motion carries, all approving, one absent.
Very good. Moving on to 7.2, consider approving a special event and fee waiver request made by the South Yuba County Sunrise Rotary Club for an event at Youth A Woods Senior Park.
So this is the Christmas tree lighting that they do every year. They want to have that in their event date is December 1st. It's going to be from 4 p.m. is the setup time, and they will vacate the premises around 9 PM for cleanup. I have insurance, I have everything else, standard what they do every year, but last year we waived the application fee. They have requested the same because it's not a event where they charge anybody. They don't have individuals coming in to sell anything. It's just a Christmas tree lighting.
I think there's a public benefit there that, that certainly justifies a waiver of this fee. So I would like to go ahead and make the motion to waive.
I'll second the motion to waive the fee.
First, second, please.
What about approving of the event?
Absolutely.
Yeah, as part of the motion, approving the event.
Director Burbank?
Yes.
Director Grego?
Yes.
Director Nelson?
Yes.
Director Flo?
Yes.
Motion carries, all approving, one absent.
Very good. 7.3, consider approving special event application fee refund request by Dream Space LLC for the cancellation of special event.
So I received a few phone calls from a gal by the name of Jessica Robinson with Dream Space Realty. She asked about our process and what all entailed, went over the application with her a few times, gave her a deadline of when it needed to be in, and then extended the deadline. She brought it in on Friday for me to publish for committees. And then that Monday asked me to cancel it and ask for the refund. Now, per our special event policy, there are no refunds, even if the event is canceled, because of the work that's been done for the application and review and getting it on the agendas and so forth. I told her I would bring the request to committees. Committees went ahead and wanted to forward this to the board for a full decision.
Yeah, I personally, from Friday to Monday, I say, just give her back her money. I mean, it couldn't have been too much work involved in that. I know, and I'm not saying there wasn't any, I'm just saying that.
Yeah, she says I don't.
Really? No, you don't work, so.
Any discussion from her as to why they're not doing the event? It sounds like a good community event.
The reason she didn't want to do it is, when I had the discussion with her, she wanted to have a food truck there, and I told her that she would have to go through the process of getting the approval from the Environmental Health Department. That I think is a little more interactive than what she was anticipating. And then on top of that, the weather.
Oh, yeah.
So they were going to do it in the parking lot, but she's worried about obvious rain and wind and so forth. She's going to have an easy up there, but you're still going to have weather. And so that was one of their biggest concerns, is they don't want to chance it. So I think that they were looking at possibly doing it maybe earlier in the year, next year or something along those lines. She did ask if I could move the deposit to next year, but checks go stale dated after 6 months. So we can't deposit it and then have it roll over into another fiscal year. So,
Well, it's nice that she's considering coming and trying to rearrange that. So I mean, I would give her, the benefit of the doubt by refunding.
Yeah, to the chair, the committee just kind of discussed what we paid agree to deal with this. That was our conversation, and said, I'm gonna take that to the full board and see what the board thinks if we want to refund that.
I'll make her a pie, okay?
it's recorded.
It's recorded.
It's recorded. You done stepped in that one.
I will second your first refunding.
To refund her money and give Brianna pie?
Right. Yes.
Right.
And that is a full motion.
Yeah.
All for it.
Legal counsel will hopefully listen.
You better tell me.
Shaking her head.
You better tell me what kind you like.
Director Burbank,
Yes.
Director Grego,
Okay.
Director Nelson,
Yes.
Director Flo,
Yes.
and he said that with enthusiasm. All approved, one out.
I've got two pies coming next week.
I gotta go help make 200 pies.
Oh, my goodness.
She works for
You
Chris.
guys need to take pictures of that.
Oh, there'll be pictures, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we did that one. Water, wastewater 7.4, receiving update on South County.
Still working on the grants through EPA, 20 million for Olivehurst, 20 million for Wheatland. Those are due today. We talked about it yesterday and they were ready to go. Terry, who's the assistant general manager for the water agency, said that she talked to one of the people at EPA, the program manager, and he said that that was one of the most complete applications that they'd ever seen.
Wow.
And that it fit like a glove as far as all the requirements. So it
Awesome.
looks real good. We'll see.
Who's responsible for that, amazingly?
What's that?
Who's responsible for that?
all of us, we all been working the last couple of weeks to get all this information all together.
Thank you.
Yeah. OPUD.
That's great.
First, they thought it was just gonna be OPUD, and then the agency discovered that they could do 2 applications. Well, there's just minor changes that needed to be done for the Wheatland one. So, you know, all the main project information's the same from OPUD to Wheatland. So
That's great.
they just put in their specifics and then you heard earlier what the dates were. That was the other thing I was gonna share. So we should be heavily into the project by next summer working.
Very good.
Do you know where they're gonna start at? Because I know that the space between 65 and 70, you know, when they did the sidewalk curve and
Where do you
gutters.
want them to start?
Yeah, it's up to you.
What did you tell me?
Bust in your chops or something?
That wasn't about that was about the pies.
I'll tell you later. I think that when we do this though, when it starts, this is a celebration.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a celebration and we need to make sure that we, you know, create this, you know, this celebration so people understand what's happening here. Because everybody sees construction, they go, oh no, not another time, I gotta wait in traffic. You know, we've got to make them understand or teach them or educate them about what the importance of this project really means. You
You
know?
just want another chrome shovel.
I do. I need another shovel for my collection.
And I think you're right. I think it is a big celebration because of what this is gonna do, not just for our county, but the whole region. Once it's
Exactly.
done and that economic growth starts in South Yuba County,
Oh my God,
it's beyond exciting.
It's gonna be like fire taken off, you know, and not only just for the city of Wheatland and the community of Olivehurst, but, you know, there is a direct benefit to the city of Wheatland, but also the economic part of it, you know, with the, you know, the hotel casino. I mean, they've got a project waiting for our infrastructure to go down that road.
So they're just about ready to ask, you know, they're trying to, right now, the agency's on the hook for 100 million. It's a lot of money. So they're trying to reduce that amount as much as they can. They're getting ready, I think in the next few weeks, they'll meet with Angela. And they're gonna ask for,
Well, you know, and creating those partnerships with that public-private, you know, partnerships, that's really important because, you know, there's housing development that's going to be the direct beneficiary of this infrastructure out there. And so, coming in as the private side and helping to, you know, bridge the delta there, you know, is really important. So, this is exciting times for us. I mean, it's underneath the radar. It's been flying underneath the radar, but I think it's at a point right now where we can safely say that this is gonna happen next year.
I'll prophesy that's gonna happen and will happen before that hotel comes down in Marysville. We'll have this done before that ever even sees the light.
Like I said, we're on fire out here.
I would not take that bet, John. That's a sucker's bet.
All right,
Thank you. Thank you for such a good report and thank you for your work.
and thank you, Mary Jane, for working hard on this too. You it's big time, and that's much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Thank you.
And I know you're doing it for the community. Thank you for all you do. And the pies for next week. All right, so moving on, 7.5, receive an update on lift station at River Oaks and Zane.
You sworn?
Yeah.
Yes, we, as discussed in committees in the last board, we had approved for a certain amount to discuss with Newland entities, and we were able to reduce the amount from 927 to about 880 something on the cost of that. And we've sent them our contract and everything in terms of moving forward. So they're working on getting the contract signed over, and they're getting their quotes or whatnot to get ordered. So once they have the signed contract, we can get moving with like pre-construction meetings and whatnot on that contractor today. And they're getting all the paperwork and all the insurances and everything that's required to get the signed contract and all the required items that we have prior to beginning.
Any questions from the board?
Got just one comment through the chair. The contractor that's doing this, Robert Cervantes or Newland, and he's is out of Yuba City. It's a local contractor.
Nice.
They're smaller. They're also doing our steel main project. So you guys see big truckloads of the turquoise pipe running through town.
That's
And you
what's
see a
part
bunch
of
of
the
gravel
big
stored
sharks.
here and stuff stored. Yeah, they're getting ready to do a huge steel main project.
Really?
That's what that is,
This-
okay.
We'll have priority over that.
Good.
They're gonna be working on both, but this is gonna have the priority.
Okay, good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. You've been putting a lot of work into that. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, 7.6, consider approving request from Pacific West Builders for occupancy of River Oaks Apartments prior to on-site electrical at the lift station, which OPUD will not take possession of without.
Through the chair, before we go anywhere, Joan has her hand raised.
Yeah.
Thank you, board, through the chair. I wanted to share some of my concerns about moving forward with this in its current status without permanent power yet. There are some aspects of this project that OPUD will be responsible for that could be subject to safety issues and monitoring challenges if it is allowed to commence occupancy merely relying upon a generator. And so
Okay. Oh, yeah.
OPUD has a SCADA system that will not be operational with the generator. OPUD will need to monitor, and of course, once OPUD takes responsibility, OPUD bears the risk for any challenges that arise during this wet weather season. So I'm happy to discuss this in more detail, but just wanted to alert you to some of my safety concerns.
So to me, I guess, is there a timeline on this?
My understanding is that they've got PG&E scheduled for late January.
Correct.
Come out and provide permanent power. I don't know, we may have some of the folks from, I'll let them say their piece, and then, you know, I'll take the last shot, tell you what my opinion is.
Okay. Swarm, you wanted to say something?
No, then we've got some individuals with Pacific West Builders on that may want to talk.
All right. Swarm, you first. You wanted to say?
Oh, no, I can, if Pacific West Builders want to go, I can add on from that.
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, members of the board. My name is Cameron Johnson. I represent AMG Associates and Pacific West Communities. We are affordable housing developers, and this project, just to give you a little bit of background on this project, if I may, was presented to us about 5 years ago as a 9-acre site that was designated for affordable housing. At the time when we came in, there were developers developing Ross Ranch, and with infrastructure plans, design, engineering moving along, and it was our understanding that we would be able to come in and piggyback off of their efforts and pay our fair share of the lift station and other improvements, which we determined to be about 15%. Unfortunately, what ended up happening is, as you know, there was an uptick in interest rates, a downturn in the market. Those developers all stopped everything they were doing, and we essentially were so far along with our affordable housing project, which is a 48-unit low-income project. We'd already secured some funding. We didn't want to give that back, so we wanted to make the effort to move forward, but we ended up getting stuck with this significant bill to build this massive lift station for this huge development, of which we're only a tiny little part of. And so we're here today, and I really appreciate you guys hearing us out, asking for any type of compromise to help us get this project, to get certificate of occupancy, to let us operate it. Essentially, we're $5.5 million over budget. I know this is not your problem. I'm just kind of giving you our story here. Every month that we can't occupy, we're losing about $200,000 in carrying costs. And we have 48 units of housing. That's going to house about 200 low-income people. And we can fill those units quickly. And my partner, Gus Becerra of the Housing Authority, is on. He can kind of give you a little more background on that. But we're willing to post a bond. We're willing to indemnify. We're willing to do anything we can to allow us to operate this system that, we paid essentially $4 million for, which was never in the budget. And based on my understanding and talking with the other developers, it could be 10 years before we ever see any money back. So anything we can do, or anything you can do to work with us, we can provide any safety measures, anything at all. We would greatly appreciate your consideration. And our goal would be to try to, if we could, get this operational by December 15th. And so we can then get our certificates of occupancy and start leasing these units to families, because the project is sitting there done. And we've been under construction for almost 2 years. But again, with PG&E, as I think you guys know, everyone's dealing with the delays that they've been causing. But yeah, again, we appreciate your time. And Brandon Hall, the project manager from Pacific West Builders, is on, along with Gus Becerra, and they can answer any questions you have too.
Thank you, Cameron.
Thank you.
My name is Gus Becerra. Good evening, members of the board and staff. I'm the executive director of the Regional Housing Authority, and we have a nonprofit arm that's our development arm. And for this specific property, we are managing general partner and co-developer. And just like to echo what our partner, Mr. Johnson, has said regarding the urgency in our timeline and just the carrying costs that have become such a burden. And hopefully you can consider our offer of an indemnification agreement, posting a bond, what have you, to let us occupy the property and get residents in there and reduce these carrying costs. So thank you again for your time.
If the board is ready, I'm ready to ask some questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so what I read in the staff report that they proposed that there would be a generator to run this system. But what about the rest of the housing electricity needs? Is that going to be run by a generator, or is that going to be?
This conversation, as far as OPA is concerned, is specific to the lift station. I assume that the apartments have power.
So that's why I guess my question is directed to the developer.
The apartments do have power.
Yes,
You have
correct.
powered up the units. They're 100% ready to occupy.
And then you would also have to go through the Feather River Air Quality Management Board. I sat on that board for 16 years. I mean, do you have an understanding with them to run a generator for that period of time?
So the generator would operate probably 10 minutes a day, if that. It wouldn't be run 24/7. It would fall under our standard construction agreement for construction generator operation. The pumps in that system operate at 700 gallons per minute. This system has been designed to collect waste from 1,000+ homes in the proposed subdivision. We're going to be putting 48 apartments on it. So it's going to be minimal flow into the system. To pump that down on a daily basis is going to take, according to the pump manufacturers, is going to take about 45 seconds to 2 minutes to pump down the waste on a daily basis.
Thank you for that. And I just wanted to state too that we're really appreciative of your project. I mean, we've watched it, develop along the way. And I guess my next question is, do you have people already signed up to rent in those units?
Yes, Director Grego, all the families are pretty much teed up in terms of qualifications, eligibility. There might be some last minute paperwork necessary, but for the most part, the units are full on paper with a substantial wait list already.
And I can speak to that a little bit from being on site on a regular basis. We get in multiple people coming to the site every day asking when we're going to open. So there's people stopping by, questioning, there's people anxious to get into these units.
And
Yeah.
the qualified applicants call our office also already, often, inquiring about the $1 million question: when are we getting our certificate of occupancy?
And I understand, your situation there, this board has to consider, the safety and the liability. That's our number one concern, we want to be, easy to work with, but we also have this responsibility of making sure that those folks that you're talking to and approving to rent these units, they're going to be in a safe environment. And so we just need to be clear in our mind before a decision is made that that's the case.
Right, anything else, John?
So, yeah, I want to wait till the end to share my thoughts. I talked with staff, including Sworn and then our chief plant operator.
Sorry, John, he's on if you wanted him to speak.
Who's that?
Nick.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe, perhaps. I've talked to both of them. We all have concerns. My main concern is liability. Even though we don't own the parcel, we would be operating the lift station because we're the ones that are licensed to do so. Any type of a spill or anything like that, any issues, that would fall on OPA.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about the regional board. We all know about the regional board. It's very concerning to me. We've done, and I'm not saying that these folks are like some of the developers I've worked with in the past, but this has been done before with the water plant. It was only supposed to be a couple of weeks, couple of months, and it turned into almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like we're only talking about maybe a month. They're talking about December 15th, and I think I heard January 20th, something like that, as far as PG&E. So maybe a month and a half. I can't recommend it, but it is ultimately up to the board. It's not something that I will recommend doing. It's too risky as far as and also, if you did approve this, once you turn this faucet on, you can't turn it off. Because those people are in there, and if it doesn't work out, you can't say, well, move out. We're going to turn your sewer off. You're committed. So it's I don't feel real good about it. You're welcome to hear from Swornjeet and Nick, your chief plant operator, to see.
I know some of the concerns that he had, and it was written in the report, was in regards to the cost of, overtime hours and monitoring this facility.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anything in here about safety, and so I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's my concern, is safety. I also, in some respects, would like to be accommodating, in some. If I could be assured that PG&E was going to be there in the month of January, because like you say, you can't turn it off once you've started it. But we are going to be in control of that system. That will be dedicated and deeded to us. And so it was developed with our specs, correct? So, in some way, I have some comfort in that, knowing that, we were part of that engineering, specs of how it was going to be developed. And so, my concern is, can we cover the overtime costs? Can we get some kind of confirmation from PG&E that they will be there? These are things that I think are really important to me as a board member.
Can I interject real quick? We have offered to hire OPUD as a third-party operator before they accept the system to operate the system after initial startup. So even if you've not accepted the system and the system is 100% operational, which we're on schedule right now to have the system operational before Thanksgiving, we've offered to pay OPUD any overtime fees necessary to operate their own system to ensure that you're the only ones that have ever been involved with that system, as well as a letter of indemnification that, I mean, basically releases you from any liability or safety issues. And I don't see necessarily any safety issues with operating the system that was installed, designed and installed per your spec.
So tell me about your confidence level in regards to PG&E actually being in there in January.
We have received a date from our electrical designer, E4, confirming that PG&E has us on schedule for the 23rd of January. Yes.
Through the chair, Joan has her hand raised.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Joan?
Through the chair, thank you. I wanted to address the bond and the indemnification, which are very much appreciated, obviously, should OPUD decide to undertake this risk. I just wanted you to realize that indemnification doesn't mean that when something happens, you don't incur expense. It means you incur expense, you ask the indemnifying party to pay that expense. It's not clear whether they would pay any attorney's fees associated with that, but there may be disagreement over what those costs are, how much. So it's not just an automatic blank check when you have an indemnification clause. And the same with a performance bond. Typically, it takes, at least 6 months to process any claim against a bond. And again, the surety will, assert all defenses that it can for why it should not be responsible. And so, although both of those gestures are very much appreciated, they are not ironclad, automatic get out of jail free cards for OPUD in the unlikely event an issue arises.
What if we were able to produce a cash bond?
Yeah, cash bond, cash is king.
And through the chair, if everybody's done, I want to leave you with this comment.
Oh, I do have one thought I'd like to add.
Hang on just a second, Swan. I don't want to be the one explaining to the regional board when there's a spill why we accepted a lift station without permanent power.
Okay.
So through the chair, I just want to make sure I'm understanding. This is language I'm catching on here. PG&E can't come out till January 23rd. So basically, we're holding responsibility until that point. Whereas if PG&E could come out tomorrow, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Is that?
That's correct. Yeah. What they want to do is they want to run this lift station, this piece of equipment that they say is to our specification. Well, our specification calls for permanent power. This doesn't have permanent power. They want to run it on a generator.
I see.
And there's no SCADA system, so there's no warning. Basically, to be completely 100% in control of this station, the only way I can see, now I granted that the thing's only going to pump once a day, maybe twice a day, maybe once every other day, but anything can happen. I've seen it all. And if something happened, there was a leak, you got I&I that filled up and we didn't know about it, we don't got any SCADA to tell us, you could have a major spill there. There is a lot of risk associated with this.
Through the chair, one question to add to that. If we had an operator 24/7 until January 23rd, would that eliminate issues of potential leaks or whatever that could occur without SCADA?
Yeah, if you have guys, but he would live there for.
So if this company, just for, sake of argument, paid for us to have full-time operators, 24/7 until January 23rd, that would be the compromise and this more of a surety for us to be safe.
It would partially mitigate the risk, yes. I think.
For sake of argument, to be able to potentially work with the Pacific West and also keep us as safe as possible.
It's also been my experience, I've been doing these projects on and off for a long time, starting with that tank that sits over at Lyndhurst. That was my first project here, but almost 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And PG&E, guess what? They were late coming to the table then. But it's been my experience that there's two arms in this particular situation. There's two sections of PG&E that you're dealing with. There's a scheduling section who's sitting behind the desk in San Francisco, and there's the construction section who's coming out and doing the work. If you can get a hold of the right person in the construction section, they'll move mountains. It's just getting a hold of that correct person.
So, thank you for that, and I like where you're going with this, Lexi. If the board tries to find a way to make this happen, understanding the situation, both situations, our situation and theirs, maybe, you know, cutting it down the middle and saying, you know, they're looking at December 15th, I'm looking at December 30th, you know, and mitigating by some of the things that we just heard, you know, having somebody out there 24/7 until they come out there and they, you know, put the electricity to that infrastructure. Is that something you could work with them about and bring it back to this board and figure it out? If we gave you direction to try to work some of these things out to your comfort level.
Yeah, I mean,
is that something you think you could do?
We can try.
Can I? Her hand raised. Swarm wants to talk and Joan has her hand raised.
Okay, I just wanted to put that out there because I kind of feel like there's a little bit of that happening on this board that we want you to feel good about what we would like to do. So with that being said, I'm willing to hear what everybody else has to say.
Yeah, I've been working with Pacific West Builders on this, and they've been very responsive. I think I stated if the board were to approve this, there are main things that we would want is one, coordinate with the air quality board.
Right.
Two, OPUD wouldn't over this until all the necessary requirements are made and everything has been designed to our guidelines. We're just missing the elect. Three, the concern that we have, the only concern, not only, but like as John had brought up, would be any I&I. Well, we've been getting rain. So one of the things I was anyways, because we haven't approved if there is any. If there's no I&I, we really reduce the risk significantly. As they had stated, the pump down, we've done the math, is correct. You would only pump this once, maybe 4 to 10 minutes, depending on how much people are, you know, sending down the system. Like they were saying, they're only supposed to use 15% for their area or whatever development, and they haven't made the second phase yet. This lift station is much larger for just this 48 units. If I say this as the spillway being minimal, obviously there's always that risk if you don't have anyone. But if you allowed this to store, for example, if it's just based on their usage, you could easily go a weekend, way more than a weekend, and someone comes and then you can pump it down. There's plenty of storage and back storage for that scenario. The only big risk would be is if you had a leak, which we would know based on how much rain is happening, if there is one or not. My confidence level, like if we did take it over, how it would look like is we honestly probably would only need to go there once a day. Or just for our own sake, we would probably do before the start of the day of work and then at the end of the day. But do we really need to be on site for that long? You really don't. Like as they had stated and the calculators have shown it, this system would only pump about 2 to 4 minutes, if that, a day.
And Swarnjeet, that's if assuming all 48 units are filled, right? Because if
correct,
what we generally, if we were able to get a certificate of occupancy, call it around the 15th or 20th, just the processing of the paperwork to getting people in, you might get 2 to 3 people a week or 2 to 3 households a week. So by the time the 23rd hit, we probably would maybe be 20 units, 24 units. It takes a few months to get these full. They don't just all move in one situation. So I would imagine that it'll get very little usage during that first month.
And that's a good point that Cameron brings, because a lot of households are already in current landlord relationships where they have to give notice to existing landlord. Therefore, it will not be overnight that all 48 units get occupied. Our typical lease up process in a property of this size, as Cameron says, is 30 to 60 days because of each individual household having their own path to get there.
Correct.
Through the chair. I guess my question is, my only concern now is making sure that PG&E is there. And I think that our manager here, I want to make sure he's comfortable with that, being able to talk to PG&E and getting some comfort level of that they're going to hold that date of the 23rd of January. But I think that with that being said, and I like the proposal that maybe we put a limit of how many occupancies they can be at a certain time, whether it's January 15th or January 23rd. So that, that you don't have a full house all of a sudden, that there are some limits.
Through the chair, I don't think that lift station is so oversized in relation to the affordable housing portion.
So
20 versus 40 versus 60.
Doesn't matter.
But that brings me to another question here. We have a problem with one of our lift stations having smell because of lack of use and drainage, right?
That issue was addressed with the operators on site, and that's why we had agreed to possibly pumping once a day. This system also has a wet well system installed in it to where you can add water into it to keep the waste from going septic. And that was his concern, was the system might only turn on every 3 or 4 days, the waste goes septic. So we said, okay, if we pump once a day, we're going to eliminate that. If we add water to it, if that's an issue, we can do that. And I'd also like to speak to the power issues with PG&E. This system is designed with a backup generator as part of the original design in the event that the power goes out. So it's not like we're trying to modify the system by running it off a generator. That's part of the original design. Anybody who lives in California knows that PG&E not the most reliable. So in the event, say a year down the road, power goes out for 5 days, this thing will be running off a generator, same as what we're
Brandon,
operate it on now.
Brandon, I'm glad you said that, because that was another question I had, was that I was thinking we're gonna tamper with the system, and my question was, if PG&E came out, would they sign off on it if, we ran it solely by a generator? But you just answered my question as to it's designed to have a generator, so that makes sense. I feel more comfortable with that. Joan, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to point out one more detail, which is, PG&E is scheduled to come out on the 23rd. That doesn't mean the system will be operational on the 23rd. After the PG&E connection is complete, PWB is required to perform another startup test and demonstrate that it is functioning properly before OPUD will accept the system. And so, that's another unknown factor. I don't want to just automatically key off of January 23rd for our obligations amongst one another should we be able to reach an agreement.
All right.
And I can speak to that as well, because we are scheduled to start the system up next week, because OPUD has agreed to let us do the initial startup with generator power to verify that the system is operating correctly. And that is going to be a 2-day process. On the 25th, 26th, we will be starting the system, running it, going through all the operations of the system to verify that it is operating correctly. So we will have the generator in place while PG&E connects power to the system. If for some reason there's an issue with the PG&E power, the system obviously would still be able to operate off that generator. Once PG&E verifies that all the connections are complete and it's running off the PG&E power, we can disconnect the generator.
Okay, so to John, so will it automatically pump or will it have to be manually pumped until electricity is hooked up?
It'll have to be
manually?
Yeah, well, the generator will not be running. You'll have to go out and
So you
start
start
the generator.
manually have it pumped. So then the risk, but the rain we're getting and we don't know what we're gonna get, how much do you feel that adds risk to if we allow this to go forward?
That's the unknown part. That's what I'm saying, you know, well, it only needs to be pumped 10 minutes a day. Well, like I said, I've seen a lot of stuff happen here. You know, some developers left some manholes uncovered down in Plumas Lake, and we were getting millions of gallons a day into these. You know, anything can happen. That's why I'm saying it is a risk. There's no question about it. It's a risk.
Yeah, I have a hard time. I mean, I get, let's get families in there. I get that they're losing money and everything, but I have a hard time when you're advising us not to go through with this, to doing it.
And there's one more thing that I haven't mentioned is, you know, and again, this is no ill will towards this developer, but OPED has got several, I'll call them hammers, to get things done, to get a lift station that we need, to get the lift station the way we want it, to our design. This generator that we're putting there is a portable generator. It's not the generator, my understanding is a portable generator. It's not the backup generator that will eventually be installed. We already let them defer that. But we have what we call a hammer in order to get them to provide this piece of equipment that we're going to be using for decades and decades and decades. What happens if something happens, they go out of business? And now we're running all this stuff on a generator, and you know they leave town, you know. And again, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's my job to point these things out to you. We've got that means all of your ratepayers are paying for.
And I would agree with Director Griego, maybe kind of table this and let staff see if there's anything that makes you comfortable with moving forward and bring it back next month.
Yeah.
But I can't.
Our next meeting is what, on the December?
December 21st, something like that, the week after the parade.
21st is Saturday.
19th.
December 19th. So it would be within their timeline of, you know, their ask or thereabout.
I do want to bring this up because we are still in the middle of elections and it hasn't been finalized. Not saying anything, but you know, we just, I gotta bring that to your guys' attention because it could be, you just never know.
I get through the chair. I also want to know, you know, have you all done everything you can with PG&E? Again, it's been my experience with, if you can talk to the right person in the construction portion of PG&E and say, hey, look, you know, tell them the story. Hey, look, we got low-income housing here. We want to get these people in there. They really like to be in by Christmas. You know,
yeah.
Have you exhausted every possible effort with PG&E to get them out there?
Well, that's what this board wants you to figure out.
Yeah, but I have no way of knowing if they've done that or not.
Well, I think that's.
I've suggested it for the last week, and I haven't heard anything. Have they tried?
So I would ask that our general manager sit down with these folks and go through the concerns that you have, and then bring back, you know, what you think next month at our next month meeting.
I'll do it.
Okay. I mean, that's how I feel. What's with the rest of
Well,
it?
I was gonna say to include Joan in the conversation.
Yeah.
About risk.
I'm absolutely would love to see people in homes.
Sure.
But we cannot risk the district to make it happen, so.
Right, and I think that the other point that's been made tonight is that the folks that are gonna be coming in there need to give their notice, their 30-day notice, or whether they're in contracts with, you know.
Wherever they are.
Yeah, and, you know, so it's not like they're all gonna go in at one time, you know. But I understand, and I'm just as cognizant as the rest of us in regards to the liability that we put the district in, you know, but we also want to try to work with, you know, especially this kind of housing. I mean, that's part of, you know, the thing that we talk about every month, of how do we bring affordable housing, because there's such a great need in this community. And we don't want to be the barrier. We want to, try to work through these issues. And that's why I'm asking, for the board to direct the general manager to a comfort level where he feels like, okay, I think we can do this, There's a level of comfort where I think we could move in that direction. So
Are you making a motion for that?
I don't think we need a motion. I think we just need to give him
We're just
direction.
directing staff.
Yeah, just direct the staff to.
So
do that.
we're going to direct staff on this to be able to bring it back to us with those questions that we're asking. Okay. Any further comment? All right, I'm gonna move on to the fire department, receive an update on Oakland's fire department 2024 ICO report.
So, I spoke to, fire chief about this a little bit. It looks like that there's, I think, 1 through 5, and the lower you are, the better. And we were at depends on who you ask, but before we were at a high 3, low 4, and now we're very solidly in the 3 range. So that
Good.
has the possibility of bringing insurance prices down.
Yeah, with insurance, it goes 1 through 10, 10 being like, we've always been at a 3. I believe Chief York said something X or 2X or something.
3.
So,
3.
Yeah, so it's a 3X. They changed the designation a few years ago. So basically what that is the areas that are outlying farther away from all the water system, like Rancho Road, for instance, those are the areas that are part of that 3X. So it used to be you had 2 different numbers is what it was. And then they've just consolidated it down so that if you're a 3, you're a 3, but you have some areas that the fire department can cover, but yet the water doesn't, or vice versa. Then they've done a 2-letter designator where they're using an extra water company. But yes, it is class 1 through 10, 1 being the best.
So I'm proud of our fire department that we keep moving in the right direction on it and working hard and getting us closer to hopefully get us down to a 2. So.
Yeah, when I was looking at the points that we gained, I was reading through it and everything, and I talked over with Chief York, and yes, we've gained more points than what we had before. So it is more of a solid 3, where maybe in the future with some added stuff down the road that maybe we might be able to improve ourselves even more.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, congratulations.
All right, so do we need to approve this report or anything?
No,
it's just
information.
Just information. Got it. Thank you so much. So board schedule, committees, any concerns there? Hearing none, I guess we're good. Want to move on to reports, general manager?
Just for those of you that may not be aware, Chief York had to have some emergency medical work done, emergency surgery yesterday. He will be out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
So that's the only information I have.
Who's large and in charge then?
It's pretty much spread amongst
Yeah, between the 3 captains.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I've been dealing with that today. The roof that we just paid to have redone, the $42,000 roof is leaking.
Oh, no.
So Henry came over, and Captain Alex came over and said, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing. So I
explains the towels that I seen when I came over this evening. That explains the towels out in by the front door that I seen.
Yeah. So I went over, looked at it. They went up and they, in the crawl space, and they found where it was coming from. And then I got on the phone with the contractor out of Chico. It looks like a pretty reputable place. The guy was very apologetic. He said, I can't get there before it's dark. This was like 4 o'clock. He goes, but I will be there first thing in the morning. That's light. So cool.
Well, it's good.
Send our love to Chief York if you talk to him, let him know we're thinking about him,
Yeah.
if he needs anything.
Yeah, he came out of surgery okay. He's home, been walked home a few times.
Just let him know we're here if he needs anything.
I'm sure pumpkin pie will make him feel better.
You're up to like six.
Oh,
no, she's
It's just a pie.
May as well add me to that
Stop while
list.
you're ahead. Stop while you're ahead.
I'll deliver it.
Wait, I don't think it'll make it.
First small level.
Oh, we were gonna Christmas carol at the front door with it, no?
That's what I asked her when I picked those other two up the other day. I said, are you gonna check to make sure these get?
Yeah, I haven't heard a word from anybody. Are you sure it got there?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Joan, do you have any report for us?
Sure. I don't know whether some of you are already aware of the Stone versus Alameda Health System ruling, which relaxed some public employer wage and hour obligations in California. You may be aware of PAGA penalties. Those do not apply to public agencies. That's good news for OPUD, since we did have a former employee seeking PAGA penalties. And meal and rest periods for public agencies are no longer statutory. They are subject to contract negotiations. So it just gives OPUD more flexibility in how it manages its employees.
Okay. Thank you. Directors? Anything?
Other than it's looking each update from the county, like you might be stuck with me for another 4 years. It's looking
Well,
more and more.
I think that deserves a pie.
She's already put her order in. I know she's got 3 of them on.
Do you sell any pies?
Mostly I just give them away, you know?
Well,
How do I go on that list?
When she steps in it.
Wait until you see the photos from Pie Night.
that's really good news.
Yes, it is.
Denise.
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
very happy about that.
Yeah.
You were hanging on with one vote.
Well, I was 30, then it went to 1, then it
Let's
went
let
to
you-
21,
Let you know that-
34, now it's at 37.
And
So-
I'd like to add to that, the gentleman who ran against you, we're always encouraging community involvement in him as well. You know, I'm sure you run a pretty decent thing, so congratulations to him.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
How many more votes do they have, Ken?
Don't know. It's not listed. I think it's
She's up
undetermined.
37, right?
Going in the right direction.
All right.
Okay, correspondence. I see you have some there.
We do have a correspondence with Northern California Water Association, their newsletter. They have an article in there where Swarngita is part of it. Rural Community Assistance Corporation helps Olivehurst protect its water future.
That's awesome.
Congratulations, Swan.
Look at Swan in here. Is he?
Just OPUD in general for the things we're all
Yeah.
Cool.
I remember seeing that. She showed it to us at the committee.
Very good job.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I think it's a thing that we as collective as OPUD in general are doing to ensure we're able to provide water and sewer to all community members within our area or boundary. So we're just doing our part in OPUD trying to help those people that don't have it. So it's a good highlight of RCAC recognizing OPUD in its efforts to bring these facilities to homeowners, especially those that A, want it, and B, those that can't afford it, having the option of it being provided, and C, putting the action plans for it to be possible, which we think is possible for water and sewer, because we have obviously customers on streets where wastewater plants are near, or neighbors may have it, but they don't. This gives them the opportunity to be provided safe water and sewage, especially for some that have failing septic systems or wells that are, may have high issues or qualities. Allows them to ensure that they get into a system that they can be, it's state tested and regulated and provided by OPUD.
Okay, very good.
Very good.
Outstanding. All right, we're gonna move into closed session. Now, closed sessions conference for group of council with significant exposure to litigation pursuant to government code section 54956.9 in parentheses D and parentheses 2. Number of potential cases, guess what? It's just one. We're ready. I vote for a 5-minute break because I need to have one.
Recording.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Hi, I'm Seth here with Nickel Tax and Financial Planning, and I'm your financial ally. With years of expertise, we at Nickel Tax go the extra mile to maximize your refund and get the largest allowed by law. With Seth Fuhr and family at Nickel Tax, it's not just about the numbers, it's about personalized service that fits your unique financial goals. That's why we fight for our clients here at Nickel Tax and Financial Planning, where Seth Fuhr and family are going to save you more than just nickels.
NICKELL tax.com.
In Marysville, where roots run deep, McNally Appliances promises to keep the best brands with a smile on its face. We service what we sell, it's a warm embrace. Competitive pricing you can't ignore. With every purchase you'll love it more. From fridges to washers, all in a line. We install with care to make it shine. Major brands, trusted and true. McNally Appliances is here for you. Oh, McNally, we're your first choice. In Marysville, we help you rejoice. We service what we sell, no need to stress. At McNally Appliances, we're simply the best. Our promise stands, we'll always be here. McNally Appliances, bringing your cheer.
McNally Appliances, 119 D Street, Marysville. McNallyAppliances.com.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.
Thinking good vibes one day at a time. At Edible Memories, life is sublime. In every bite, you'll find a dream. Join us now, let your heart beat. Step inside, sharing the fun. Edible Memories Bakery, where happiness runs.
Edible Memories Bakery, 321 3rd Street, Marysville. EdibleMemoriesBakery.com.
In the heart of the valley, we rise so bright, where the news flows freely in the morning light. Yuba-Sutter.live, where truth comes alive. Every Tuesday's a journey, it's where we thrive. Watch it unfold. Yuba-Sutter.live, in the heart of our home.